inside. I'm waking up, active in my bones, enough to make my system blow. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Radioactive, radioactive. Radioactive, radioactive.
Streets filled with blood, black and red, dreams and hearts that once knew love are cold and dead. Breathing rust has come to this. We burn to dust in apocalypse, but we can live again if we can find ourselves.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson on this build. I'm only gonna play these missions on challenge. I still play open world on heroic difficulty, but I just can't stand, dying one time and having to start the entire thing over again when I play these ridiculously long missions too. Like, they're all absurdly long. They're way too long in my view, especially the strongholds. It just takes you forever, and then like, they all feel like mini raids to me. They don't really feel like missions or something. They just feel like, why does every mission feel like a raid to me? Like, there's so many waves, there's multiple bosses to get through. It's just, and if you die once, you start the whole thing over again. Like, it's so annoying. Meanwhile, the loot's not really worth it because, you can easily just farm control points without having to worry about dying and starting it all over again. And get more loot. Mostly because you get, like, resources by just completing it that are useful for any kind of optimization while still getting loot drops off enemies, so... I still feel like open world is best for farming anyway, not any of these missions, but... And so it's whatever. Anyway, I did learn, especially in this one, it's like the minigun is still very useful on this support gun build because like it gives you bonus armor obviously, and the more armor you have, the more armor it gives you. So that means my 5 core armor build is good for it, and you recover armor shooting it. But also, like, if you switch, as you saw me doing, if you switch like out of it and go back in, you get the armor back. So if enemies strip you of the bonus armor and you still have the minigun with full ammo equipped, you just simply exit out and go back in and you get the bonus armor again. Now, don't think this is anything ridiculously OP, because the bad thing about the minigun is you're so slow. You definitely feel more vulnerable, and it takes forever to switch to a gun to start dodging again, because you can't dodge either with it out. So I found I would die a couple times because of that, because I was just getting too greedy, and I realized, no, this is best, and when there's only like a few enemies left to target and you're not getting flanked, or at least you're probably not being flanked right now, so that if you take a boatload of damage and you have to go back to another gun, you don't have to worry about getting flanked and dying quickly. Anyway, this is the same build as the previous video. I just wanted to show it in a mission too. And I can beat these missions on heroic. It's too frustrating to me. Because again, if you die once, you start it all over. The loot is relatively the same. Like, there's not a big difference, or any difference, arguably, between challenge and heroic from what I see. Like, I still get the same kind of gear mod drops. And of course, when you're just farming for resources to scrap, then heroic makes even less sense, much less legendary, because you're still going to be farming yellows at like the same rate on any difficulty. And then it's like, well, they're going to give you the same scrap by just being yellows. The other thing is, even if you're farming for specific builds, usually it's hard even on heroic, even on legendary, to get like a perfect roll on something in terms of like it being all optimized too. So it's kind of a waste of time anyway. The best thing you can usually do, I've learned in this game, is just simply farm until you get the roll you need, and then just spend resources farming resources, optimizing it to maximum later on. So like, even if it has a low roll on it, if it at least comes with what you need, like it has the armor core, it has the crit hit chance, the crit hit damage double on it, so that means because you can only mod one thing on it, so that means you would mod the talent on it. But let's say all the attributes are what you need them to be. Even if they're low rolls on the attributes, long term it doesn't matter, because you'll just optimize it in the future and get it maxed out anyway, and then you have the exact piece you needed to perfect your build. And you can do that. My point is, you can do that just as easily on challenge, maybe even hard difficulty, as you can on heroic. Now, I know normal difficulty you start to see purples drop again, I think even blues, but definitely purples, and of course you don't want to ever use purples. So at that point you are losing out on loot, I would say, for that. But yeah, on hard, but I would say challenge difficulty feels the best balance for everything in my view. I still hold to that. You don't have to get frustrated constantly dying if you have a good build at that point. This still honestly felt challenging in the sense that I'm still clearly at threat of dying sometimes. It's not as big of a deal, and I can always overcome it if I'm not stupid on challenge difficulty. Meanwhile, on heroic, if you're not on a straight tank build, you get flanked once you're dead, pretty much. You get flanked by multiple enemies, but it's unfair because they'll just spawn behind you too. Like, there's so much crap that just kills you instantly that you can't really do anything. You feel like you can't do anything about. Like you just simply got screwed, and that's that. And that feeling of just getting screwed without any way to counter it happens to me all the time on heroic if I'm not on my just straight tank build. My straight tank foundry build laughs at all of it pretty much now, but anything not that. Like, I'm gonna eventually die no matter what. It's so annoying. So yeah, I just had to get that out too. But of course, this build is not really meant. My point is, it can do solo, but it's not really meant for that. It's meant to be in a group and be buffing teammates in multiple different ways. You give armor, you give damage, you give utility from ammo consumption, ammo capacity. You give all that. All of the buffs require nothing on your part practically to give to your teammates, and then it goes across the whole map. There's also, I'll do one more video on this build where I do a heroic countdown, because I will say this is probably one of the best builds for countdown specifically.